Hey everyone. So today I'm going to show you how to do basic edits on your photos in Photoshop Express. I'm going to show you this process on my Chromebook. If you end up doing this on your phone, which you absolutely can, it will look a little bit different, but everybody should have a Chromebook or should have access to a Chromebook, even those of you who are seniors. And so I'd rather show you on the larger screen. I think it will be a little easier to see. And there's a little bit more that you can do, I feel, in the Chromebook, even though the apps are pretty much the same. But I do have the iPhone app. So to start, I'm going to open Photoshop Express. If you don't have it, you're going to need to go to the Play Store, and it should be one of the options for you to download because the schools made it available to everybody. It's a free app, and so you just need to download it and then go ahead and open it. So we're just going to disregard that. So right now I have some photos that I have already imported, but I will show you guys how to import photos. And I think we'll turn the brightness up a little bit so you guys can actually see what's going on. So we're going to have to make some compromises between being able to see the text in the app and being able to see the photo itself, because the brightness isn't ideal with this camera. So these are photos, like I said, that I've already imported, but if you don't have your photos imported, which you probably don't, there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. So to put more photos in here, I'm going to click on All Photos, and I've got a couple of different options that pop up. It's showing me the photos I already have and where they're located, and then up here it's showing me that I can use the camera to take a picture. So you could definitely do that. I don't really like taking a picture with the Chromebook. I feel like it's just a little big and hard to use. I have pictures that are saved on my device. If I was using Lightroom, I might have pictures that I worked on in Lightroom and now I want to import in here, so you don't need to worry about that. Creative Cloud, again, if I've saved anything in my Adobe Creative Cloud. And then my library will allow me to get pictures from my library. So to take a picture with the camera, I'll just click on camera. It's going to open up a camera function. It's not happy probably because of the way that it's set up, but I can hit the camera button, and since I just took a picture of total blackness, it's completely black. But I could easily face the camera at myself and take a picture. So the other way to get photos is to go into My Device. So if you have photos already saved on your Chromebook, you can definitely just open them up. But for me, I save a lot of photos to Google Drive. And so I'm going to go into Drive because I specifically put a photo in here to work on with you guys. And I put it in Drawing in 2D, and here's the image. So I'm just going to hit open, and it's going to open in Photoshop Express. So this is an image that I took from one of my classes, an image of student work from a couple of years ago when I was still teaching at JMU, and never quite got around to editing. So it's kind of perfect for what we're doing right now, because this is the way that you're going to edit your work. So you'll see that when you do this, the first type of adjustment that comes up is a lot of filters. And you'll see that they all have cutesy little names: aquatic, koi. We're not going to use those. If you find one under like the white balance that works really well, you could, but most of their white balance are like black and white or just really off. Like Flash, it's not really white balanced. So I'm going to stick with normal. I'm not going to put any filters over it. I'm just going to ignore this whole section right here. And I'm going to go into crop. So these two weird rulers together, that's the crop. And I can set specific crop sizes. So if you are, let's say, making a Facebook event cover for a Facebook page, this would be ideal. But we're not doing that. We just want to crop out all of that extra wall space. So we'll go with free size when we're cropping. And you'll also see that there is a rotate button and a transform button. So we're going to look at those in just a second. First, I'm going to crop as much of the white space out as I can. And I'm not cropping it all out because if you look at my photo, it looks like this is angling slightly backwards. So my tripod, my camera when I was taking this photo was slightly skewed. It wasn't looking straight at the wall. So before I finish doing all of my crops, I'm going to go to transform. And when I go to transform, I get full auto, so I can pretty much like bend and stretch this in any direction that I want. But I also have vertical skew and horizontal skew. And I like that the pictures kind of show you what is going to happen. So horizontal skew, it will make one side look like it's going backward or forward in space. So if I click on that, I get this little slider. And now I can just slide the slider until it looks like this is pretty even. And again, now I need to go into rotate because it looks like it needs to be rotated a little tiny bit. And that's pretty good. So I can now finish cropping this and I won't crop too much of the image out. So I'm going to go back to crop, make sure that I'm on free. And I am cropping a little bit of the image out, but I'm okay with that. So you're going to need to use those three tools a lot unless you're taking a completely perfect picture, which in all likeliness you're not going to do. So the next set of tools that you're going to want to use, and I can see that I actually need to go back and recrop this or rotate it a tiny bit. It's a little bit off. But the next set of tools that I'm going to want to use are corrections. So I can see that I can sharpen it. So if my image was a little blurry, I can add in grain. I don't want to do any of that. What I want to make sure that I fix is the color temperature. Maybe the whites, blacks, highlights, shadows, that's going to all affect your contrast. So sometimes you can go into contrast and you can do a little bit of tweaking and you can have a nice contrast. So this isn't really making much of a difference. And it's possible that I just need to adjust my whites and make my whites a little bit whiter. And that actually worked really nicely. I think there's still a little bit of a red haze in my white. And that's going to be where color temperature comes in. So this lets you change the whole color of the photo. So sometimes, you take a photo and it's like all blue or all red. That's because the color temperature is wrong. You want your whites to look white, and that's how I adjust color temperature. So as I slide this slider over, right now it's making everything really kind of orange. If I go in the opposite direction, it's making everything really blue. So that's called a color cast. I'm creating a cast over the whole thing of a certain color. I do not want that. I want my whites to look as white as possible. And if you're having trouble getting your whites to look white, what I will do is I will hold up a piece of white paper. So I have a piece of white scrap paper right here. Actually, it's the back of a photo. I'll hold up a piece of white paper and I'll compare. So on this camera right now, it does look pretty white, but it's actually a little bit off when I look at it next to this paper in real life. So I do need to continue to adjust. And right in there is probably the best. And so this is going to be a little bit of back and forth trying to get my color temperature right because I don't have as much control as I do when I'm working in the full version of Photoshop. So I will usually start by adjusting my contrast. It didn't do anything in this case. And then I sort of went back and forth between adjusting my whites. My blacks are a nice pure black, so I didn't need to adjust those. And then the temperature. And again, adjusting that temperature, you want to make sure that your white parts of your photo, your painting, are actually white. And on occasion, I'll use saturation for an image like this. This looks pretty close to what I remember it being in real life. It looks pretty saturated. I think that if I went in now, I would just oversaturate it. But if your painting that you just took a photo of looks a little washed out, like it just seems faded, then you could go in and you could adjust and make it more saturated. So make your colors more close to being pure. And then the last set of adjustments that we're going to look at is this particular tool right here, which is for removing blemishes. So I don't really have anything on this. I ended up cropping out the little thumbtacks that were in the corner, but I can zoom in. I can tap. So let's say I see a blemish over here. I could tap and remove that, and I might need to adjust the size of what I'm doing. But right now I don't have any blemishes that I want to take out, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But if you had like kind of a small glare or just an area where you use thumbtacks or tape was showing, you could use this blemish remover to just pop that out of the photo. Okay, so now I'm ready to save. And before I save this file, I want to check the size. So right now it's telling me the size, 640 by 480 pixels, which is pretty small. Small isn't bad, but I can change my size and my quality. So if I click up here, I can change the quality. I could resize the image. I could put a watermark. What I want to do is check my image quality. So right now it's at very high. I could do high, medium, low. It's pretty small size even for being very high. Trying to get this so that you guys can see it and it is not showing up. So there we go. All right, so I want to choose the highest quality. I'd rather have a bigger file that then I need to make smaller than a file that's too small that I need to make bigger. And I'm going to hit done and readjust my brightness here. If my computer will let me. There we go. So now I'm going to click on others and I'm going to save this to my files. So I have a file specifically set up for these demo pieces. And we are going to delete that, call this demo 1, and then hit save. So now it's saved to my Chromebook, and you can definitely work with it from your Chromebook, or you can upload it into your drive just so you have it everywhere. So I'm going to go down to Drive, and wait for that to load. I want to put this into my 2D and drawing folder. And then I want to hit new. I'm going to do a new file upload. And it should open up everything. So if my teaching file was closed, I'd have to figure out where it was saved under. In this case, it was already open. and I'm going to choose Demo 1 and hit open, and it should save right into my drive. It's not showing up, and if that happens, it's okay. Sometimes you have to refresh and it'll pop up. It'll show up in your Google Drive. In this case, it is not, so I might just need to be patient and wait for it, but it should be there, and I should be able to access it from any device that I can log on to the internet. And that is it. That is your basics for editing your photos of your finished work.